Is democracy, in its purest form, the ultimate solution to societal harmony and justice? Or is it a vehicle for potential chaos and anarchy? Thomas Hobbes, the 17th century English philosopher, had a rather intriguing take on this. Born in Westport, England in 1588, Hobbes' view of the world was shaped by the tumultuous times he lived in. The Spanish Armada had threatened England's shores the very year of his birth, and the country was deeply divided along religious lines. As a young man, Hobbes studied at Oxford, where he was introduced to the classical works of Greek and Roman philosophers. Here, he began to formulate his own views on democracy, which would later become the cornerstone of his political philosophy. In 1640, Hobbes wrote The Elements of Law, Natural and Politic, where he first expressed his skepticism about democracy. He argued that humans are inherently selfish and competitive. When left to their own devices in a democratic system, they would inevitably lead to conflict and chaos. Hobbes's skepticism towards democracy deepened during the English Civil War. He saw the conflict as a direct result of democratic principles, where the will of the many led to division and violence. This experience crystallized his belief in the necessity of a strong central authority. In 1651, Hobbes published his most famous work, Leviathan. Here he argued that to avoid the state of nature, which he saw as a state of war, people must surrender their rights to a sovereign power. This sovereign, whether a monarch or a governing body, would maintain order and prevent the society from descending into chaos. Hobbes' views on democracy were indeed radical for his time. He saw democracy not as a path to freedom and equality, but as a potentially destructive force. He believed that people are not naturally inclined to cooperate for the greater good, but rather act out of self-interest, which could lead to conflict in a democratic system. So, to summarize, Hobbes's views on democracy were deeply influenced by his experiences and the turbulent times he lived in. He believed in the inherent selfishness of humans and saw a strong central authority as the only way to prevent society from descending into chaos. For Hobbes, democracy, with its emphasis on individual rights and freedoms, was a potential recipe for disaster, not a solution to societal problems. Remember, these views are reflective of one philosopher in a specific historical context. They serve as a reminder of the diversity of thought that exists when it comes to understanding and implementing democracy. As we navigate our own democratic systems today, we can draw on the insights of thinkers like Hobbes to inform our perspectives and enrich our discussions. After all, isn't that what philosophy is all about? Challenging our assumptions, provoking thought, and allowing us to see the world from different angles. And perhaps in doing so, we might come a little closer to answering that age-old question: what is the best way to govern our societies?